The Return, Chapter 11. The Team. You talk to him, Maggie. He's supposed to listen to you. The project team had been waiting to speak to SAAM about a new campaign, but he and Johnson had returned from the legal meeting in a giddy mood. They were behaving like teenagers, even the normally straight-laced Johnson. SAAM was eating an apple, hardly unusual, giving it all his attention, savouring it, smelling it, rubbing it on his lips, apparently fascinated by it, holding it with both hands, nibbling and chewing like he was having sex with it. He finished the apple and immediately looked around for another. Johnson started grumbling. Was he going to eat all day? Not if I can't find... SAAM stopped. There was a new girl there. Blue hair, tattoos, loose flowing clothes, sweet-faced, pretty eyes. Best of all, she was taking an apple from her soft hold-all and holding out her hand, offering it to him. SAAM gave an enormous smile and said, "Thanks," as he picked it delicately from her hand, careful as usual to limit his casual touch with anyone new. Made eye contact with her as he smiled and moaned in pleasure, lowering his lashes the way some men do when they see a fuckable woman. He took a huge bite and wandered behind Johnson, quite deliberately chewing in his ear. Johnson looked sideways and plotted revenge. Maggie, the office manager, was a middle-aged woman who had once been pale and winsome. Now too thin to be called slender, her strawberry blonde hair had become straw-coloured, and her apparently lashless grey eyes seemed so much smaller than when she was young. Fortunately, she was smart, calm in an emergency, and had a compassionate, generous nature that made her universally liked. "Yeah, come on, Max, that's why you're here." SAAM sat in a corner chair side on to Maggie. What are they talking about? The chattering stopped. He carried on chewing, licked his fingertips a couple of times. "Well," Tim said, and then he stopped. The room was quiet except for SAAM and his apple. Johnson walked up behind him, and for an electric moment it looked as though he was going to flick the back of SAAM's ear. SAAM lowered his eyes sideways and said softly, "I will cut you." Several pairs of eyes widened. No one in the room doubted him for a second, and Johnson backed away. Maggie frowned. "Mr. Johnson, please, I'm surprised at you." She smiled at SAAM. "They're just being silly. They like to tease me that I was given this job because I was too old to tempt you into indiscretion." SAAM didn't turn his head, but the team sank a little into their chairs, anticipating his disapproval. "So they don't trust me to work with women? I'm not a Karagath, for fuck's sake. Sorry, Maggie." He was still looking at her. The apple finished, he accepted one of those wipes she always carried, cleaned up his hands. Tim chirped, "Well, you had a pretty well-earned reputation for doing the rounds, boss." SAAM turned to look at Tim. He wasn't angry exactly. Perhaps not amused would cover it better. "I've been known to fuck men, too. Did they think you were safe?" Tim, whose most secret fantasies involved sex with SAAM, paled, and he shut his mouth. SAAM turned back and took Maggie's nearest hand in both of his, kept gentle, smiling eye contact with her. "That is stupid in so many ways. We don't have the same prejudices as you do about age, and not one of you knows what is beautiful to a Carib. So I will just say, I absolutely would. I would be indiscreet with you, if you were ever kind enough to suggest it." Maggie laughed, took her hand away gently, said with some authority, "Stop that." But it was clear that she had enjoyed him flirting with her. Tim said, You can sing, right, boss? Saam nodded, shrugged. Johnson said, Seriously? Saam looked across at him through his eyelashes. Did you think I was a kitchen slave? Johnson huffed. Absolutely not. I've eaten at your place. I know what your idea of preparing food is. Saam looked confused. You don't like carrots? Johnson grunted. Yeah, peeled and cooked. Saam frowned. I washed them. Then, and there was ice cream. Maggie interrupted. What is wrong with you two? You're like a couple of children who've eaten too much sugar. Johnson grumbled. Ask him. Our Nadiv friends. You have Nadiv friends? Our Nadiv friends are pretty unhappy about the new vengeance. They think it shows them in a poor light. Saam said nothing, but his face spoke volumes. How awful. How unfair. That Nadiv lawyer is really pissed at you. I have given her no reason that I know of. Sally, young and blonde, the media expert, said, They should be thanking you. That speech of yours. We're getting great feedback on it. Lots of interest in the project as a whole, and especially the legal problems over ET pornography. They'd had more than a few bold approaches, asking them about the child SAAM sex dolls. Specifically, where could you buy them, and how much did they cost? But Sally kept that to herself. The team had watched a pirated copy of the movie together while he was at the Gala, and every bit of media footage of the Gala itself, every show that reviewed it. The chat shows love it. I have a dozen invites. No. But no chat shows. Reluctantly, they moved on. Well, said Johnson, I don't think she's very grateful. She was just being spiteful. It had been a slow few weeks while Saam and Johnson were away. At the promise of a little drama, the teen turned to look at them like dogs who hear a piece of chocolate being unwrapped. Johnson said, She kept switching to Nadiv, so Saam asked if she needed an interpreter, which really offended her. Saam smirked just a little. She just wanted to insult me, without the rest of you knowing what she said. So she graciously switches to English and makes some rude comment about Saam's tattoo. The team were quiet to individually devote a moment's thought to that famous tattoo and the fine back it decorated. Something about the spelling. It's spelt incorrectly, just a little, so I'm told. I don't read Nadiv. She didn't have to be such a bitch about it. So Saam says. Saam interrupted. Apart from a handful of fighters, most Caribon Nadiv ships end up as cooks, manual operatives, unskilled laborers. A few end up working with the machinery, good with our hands. He held up two large, fine, long-fingered hands. No fingernails. Tim watched and tried to keep his mind on topic. Saam sighed. I don't know another Carib that can read. He saw the question on their faces. I can read because the man who gave me English when I came to America, he gave me reading at the same time. English, I can read English. I was amazed how easy it was. I always thought we didn't learn because it was difficult. We were too stupid. Our brains weren't built for it. Apparently that's not true. But I'm sure a lot of Nadivs still think that way. It's one thing to teach us to fight and die for the cause. It's another to ask our opinion on anything. You may let your pet dog sit at the dinner table because it amuses you, but you don't expect him to join in the conversation. Tim said, Wait, the guy who gave you English, you're not talking about Artem, are you? Someone else? Saam shook his head, little more than a twitch. Someone else. So there is someone else out there you could use. I know management were putting pressure on you not to put up with all his bullshit. Saam just looked at him. His cheery face had darkened. Then, "No." "But—" "No." Then Sally said, "I'm guessing he wasn't a very nice guy." Saam rewarded her with a little smile. Did that slow eye blink of his. "He's the reason I put up with Artem's bullshit." Johnson finally continued. "So anyway, she makes some acid comments about the spelling of his tattoo. Sam says if this was a Carib ship, if they got to choose the name, sorry Maggie, they would have picked a name they could fucking spell." Saam shrugged. "It wasn't that funny. I was just irritated. It didn't even make sense. Most Carib can't spell anything." Johnson raised his eyebrows. "Well, the humans she works with don't know that. Her colleagues thought it was hilarious. They started laughing, really laughing. Nadiv hate that. I thought she was going to explode. Now that was funny." They grinned at each other. Sally said, "Wait, in the movie, the guy who tattooed you, he wasn't a Carib." "No, he wasn't. He was a Nadiv ex-slave, raised there from childhood. Sweet man with poor spelling." "But you didn't tell her because—" They knew what was coming. Saam shrugged. "Because fuck her, that's why." Tim said softly, "It was a good speech, almost as good as that kiss." Enthusiastic agreement. Saam rested an elbow on the table and rested his face on his hand, looking at the new girl. She was so quiet. A thought occurred to him, and he checked her neckline for a collar. Nothing. Sally carried on, "We must remind them in future to give you something you can drink out of. Sorry about that." They had all cringed with shame when they saw Saam reduced to pouring champagne into a coffee cup so that he could finally get a drink inside him. "Was it really necessary to have a ninja camera team following me? You were the star of the show. I wish you had told me." Matt, the IT specialist, said in awe, "How could you not kiss her back? He sent her hunting for biscuits, for fuck's sake. And then he made her wait, actually wait, while he ate them, standing there with her hand out while he eats them. I'm taking notes, man." Sally said cautiously, "So, I guess Penny isn't coming back." Tim said, "Good God, no, if only for the puppies." Sam smiled. "I liked the puppies. I just have no idea why they were there." "Photo op. It's a trick they use to make celebrities more, amiable." Sam looked surprised. "I'm not amiable." Tim almost exploded. "Exactly. Your approval rating is through the roof. Talk about gilding the lily. Oh, and speaking of that, your outfit, oh my God. I watched you on the red carpet, and I swear I nearly climaxed." Sam looked at him. They were more or less the same height, similar shoulder width, though Tim didn't quite match his build. "Do you want it?" "Are you serious?" Tim squealed. He was in heaven. Saameron shrugged. "Oh my God, I would love you forever." "Would you like me to have it cleaned first?" "No!" The reaction was so strong that Saam merely mouthed, "Okay then," and left it there. Sally pulled up a shot of a man and woman dancing at the Gala. They were both rather short. He wore short, curly blonde hair that might have been a wig, and glasses. She was heavily pregnant. They were really enjoying dancing together. "Saam?" They watched his face soften, and he smiled. "That's Shar, isn't it? Did you know he was there? How come you didn't talk to him?" "I did talk to him." They stared. There was no footage anywhere of them talking. Sally had checked twice. "His wife bumped into me and suggested I visit one of the bathrooms. He was waiting for me. They're about to have their 5th child." He looked so happy. They fell silent for a moment, just enjoying it. "He's living up north, among humans who don't know who he is. He has a family. They're very happy. The last thing they need is a camera crew outing them to the world." They thought about the wild-eyed Xonak from The Vengeance. That was really him. Sam nodded. "Mm-hmm." Matt took a deep breath and said carefully, "So, the movie, that was pretty hectic. Did all of that happen?" Sam wagged his head. Most of it. Yeah, most of it happened. Not all of it to me." Did you?" Matt looked worried. None of them would ask directly. The rape, where he had started to force himself on a Xonak girl, only to come to his senses and back off. Was that real? Sam sighed. "Listen, we were at war. I did a lot of things I'm ashamed of. If you're afraid to ask, just assume that I did it. It will be quicker." They didn't ask about the smile training, a child Saameron being beaten until he smiled on command. They had all seen that facial expression a number of times. They believed it completely. "And the Nadiv officer, the Aussie actress, they cut her out. But she was your Nadiv love interest in the first release." Sam actually laughed. "Not in a million years. With a carrot, not a chance." No. "And you really got your face busted up?" "Uh-huh." He knew the question wasn't really about the damage to his face, but the violent rape that accompanied it, but he didn't quibble. "But it looks okay now." Saameron pointed in turn. "My nose, a bone in this cheek, one above my eye, one in my jaw, and I lost a tooth." They stared in horror at the thought of so much vandalism done to that beautiful face. "At least the trainer stopped calling me pretty boy. My face looked like that pumpkin you brought in for Halloween." Sally burst into tears. "You have to be tougher than that," Sam said gently, and patted her hand. Smile training, Saameron style. "It wasn't just me. The trainer was a bullying bastard who never went planetside with us because one of us would have killed him. For a while I spent most of the training sessions on the floor at the side of the room. Someone would hit me and I would go down. It was hard to breathe and hard to chew or swallow. Eventually my weight started to go way down, and one of the senior officers noticed. The Nadiv doctor agreed to do the surgery on my jaw. They didn't want me to starve to death, I suppose. There was a Xonak doctor there too. He said we might as well fix the rest in case we ever need to sell him." Sam laughed, looked at their horrified faces. He was kidding. "The same doctor helped me each time I got my face badly damaged. He shouldn't have helped me. Limited resources used on cosmetic repairs, but he joked each time about my resale value." They just looked at him, horrified. Sam made eye contact again with the new girl. "What's your name?" "Alex." Matt said, "Well, obviously the shot in the back wasn't you, so who was that, really?" Sam took a deep breath and puffed out his lips. "Actually, that was me. I was badly hurt, I just didn't die." "What?" General consternation. The one thing about the movie that they thought they all knew was fake. For fuck's sake. Tim said, "Wait, what happened to the guy who shot you?" Sam thought a bit. "This is not what we're here to talk about, is it? Why are we here?" Later the team would say to each other, "You think he killed him?" "Fucking A, he killed him. That bastard is toast." Saam waited. "Why are we here?" Tim said, "Well, we wanted to talk to you about an awareness project, which with a bit of luck might also make some money. Alex here came to us with the idea. We approach singers to donate their time and one of their songs. We use them to get the message across about the challenges ETs face here. A live concert first, with short films running in the background of each song, each focusing on an individual ET and one issue. The song... maybe you could even sing." Saam looked like he would rather stick pins in his eyes. "The song?" "We would run the storyboard through with you. You would have complete approval from start to finish." Saam bobbed his head a little to make eye contact with Alex. "Sorry, you don't work here. You're a singer." Sally said gently, "She's really famous, Sam." "Well, she could have said so. Louis does. He says, 'Hello, I'm Louis, I'm famous.' That's helpful." Matt and Tim went into an old routine. "Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die." Saam looked at Alex, smiled. "I like your hair." Alex finally spoke. She was enjoying watching them, but she had somewhere to be. "I watched you on the red carpet." "You were there?" "There was a woman there you were trying pretty hard not to look at." Saam looked at the team. "We're stupid, boss, not blind," Tim said. "I have had relationships that ended but didn't end. Where somehow I felt like I was still on a string, not able to break away. It felt to me like this song could have been written about you." Saam felt cold. So his contribution would be to highlight the problem of not being able to marry. He frowned. "You would not use Nadia and her family." His tone was clear. He would not discuss it. Sally said to the girl with the blue hair, "Could you sing it for us?" Alex looked startled. "What, now?" Matt said, "It's okay. I can call up a video of it. Give me a sec." Saam rested his elbows on the desk, churched his hands, bowed to rest his forehead on them, and listened. The song was a sweet, lilting lament about loneliness and longing, the loss of love, the emptiness and silence of a home when a partner leaves, about phone calls and staying in touch, and trying to remain friends after one half just stops loving the other, when one person moves on while the other stays frozen, about watching from the shadows while the lost love gets on with their life, how sometimes the pain of holding on is worse than the pain of letting go, and how the circus of celebrity gives no comfort, no ease, only noise, and how it can make you feel like a clown. Saam was completely silent. He sat back and looked at her, very quiet. "That's beautiful." He thought for a minute. "Okay. We can't expose real people, put them at risk. We can't take away what little privacy they have. We would have to use actors." "And you?" His personal involvement would be the main selling point. They all knew it. He shrugged, shook his head a little. "I don't have anything left to take." Alex dug in her bag, found a handkerchief, and walked up to face him. Held it out to him. He frowned, not understanding. "You're crying." "Are you sure?" He touched his cheek in surprise, and very gently she dried his face.